Are you thinking about moving to West Palm Beach, Florida? In this video, I'm going to tell you 7 reasons why not to move here. And one of these might make you think twice. So my last video, I did the 6 reasons why people love living in West Palm Beach. And then I thought, I think I better give the offset to this too. So that is the premise for my making this video today. And I have mentioned a lot of these before, but I'm going to summarize them this time. And I was just thinking how my husband yesterday, or he probably says it every day, we need to live somewhere else. It's so expensive to live here. So it really is expensive to live here. And when I realize it, when I work with clients that are moving from other areas, not to say that it isn't expensive all around the country to live, but we have different costs here in Florida than in other areas. So my number one reason of the 7 is the high cost of living. And it really does come down to home prices. You know, it's super difficult for first-time home buyers here. And even like just people are in houses that maybe were on the water on a canal that were worth, they thought, like $1 million or $2 million, and now they're double that. So, you know, there's only so much coastal property, and our home prices have, even though they've started to level off, they have gone up quite a bit in the last, say, 5 or 6 years, and then rents along with that. So, you know, just a cost of housing, but also the cost of condo and HOA dues because of what we experienced with that condominium in Miami Beach collapsing 4 or 5 years ago. But it caused the state to put in place a lot more rules regarding condominiums and HOAs. Now older condominiums are required to have more stringent inspections, more expanded reserve studies. The condo industry in general, the last, like prior to this past year, experienced like double in insurance costs, which has finally leveled off. So those things related to condos have been challenging and have increased the cost of existing condos. But the good news to that is that now the condominium associations are required to provide up-to-date financials to prospective buyers. They have to make those reserve studies available to the buyers, and buyers have a 7-day rescission period now to review the financials before they sign a contract to purchase a resale condominium. So those are all really positive things that are coming out of a very painful period, but they have, you know, overall increased the cost of living here. And this is also true for resale homes because we just went through another period after that condo period of insurance increases where several major insurance companies had pulled out of the state of Florida. So it was difficult to get wind insurance and homeowners insurance. The flood zones were changed, so the flood insurance went up. I mean, that's all stuff that we've come through. But in my experience working with buyers who are moving here, I have learned a lot. And what I've learned is when a home is newer, when a home has a solid roof, when a home has impact windows, those are all the foundational things that help you manage the cost of your insurance. But these are all definitely costs that people are feeling. And add to that property taxes. If you don't have a homestead here, your property taxes don't have any limits on how much it will increase as assessed values increase. And, you know, car insurance was really a problem, and it actually has leveled off just in this last year. One of the cities was West Palm Beach that had the highest auto insurance in the country. So all those things are kind of painful. And I think that's why my husband says to me at least once a week, it's too expensive to live here. But I think it's all starting to level off. We've been through a difficult period, but it is a fact of life. And I actually feel like unless you're living like out in the country somewhere, any metropolitan area, you're going to have a high cost of living. And at least here, we don't have any income taxes. Our sales taxes are manageable. And if you file your residency here in Florida, you can put a cap of 3% on the growth of your property taxes if taxes do go up. And also our governor's trying to find a way to make our property taxes more affordable. I mean, it's the fact of life, but I did have to tell you about it. And that is the cost of living here in West Palm Beach. So I really hate to admit this because I think that other areas have this even worse than we do, especially seasonally, have a traffic issue here. And I think it happens on these major arteries like Okeechobee Boulevard going from the west into the east into downtown, Boynton Beach Boulevard, any of the main east-west arteries that run from the western communities into the major cities in the coastal area, like Indiantown Road in Jupiter is just crazy, especially during season or when school is in. And so a lot of the communities out west near 95 are very popular. But if you want to get to the beach, the main road is Indiantown Road to get in east. And I always like to say to my clients when they do buy here, I say, call me anytime and I'll tell you the back way. Because actually, for me, having lived here most of my life, there's always a way around it. And there are back roads. You just have to know where they are. So that's the trick in knowing me, is I'll tell you how to get there quicker. And then the other thing is that the seasonality, because come like December through March, our population nearly doubles, and so does our traffic. That's why I work so hard to help the people that I work with try to find a way to get their life to be circular and in the same vicinity, so that you aren't fighting the traffic all the time. I mean, I did that a lot growing up in my beginning of my career in banking. And when I work with the younger people in my life and the people that are moving here, it's like one of my priorities is to help them figure out how to keep their world small so that they don't have to get stuck in this traffic that just does happen every year. And as our population grows, it does get worse, even though the counties and the city are working on expanding a lot of the roads where this is happening. So traffic and the fact that we don't really have much public transportation outside of the Bright Line and the Tri-Rail, we're pretty car-oriented communities, so traffic can be very challenging. Okay, so it's really easy to forget this one. If you're coming here looking to live and it's wintertime, anywhere between, say, October, November, and even as far as into May, you forget or you don't really realize that the tropical weather, hurricanes, humidity, heat, rain, it's the tropics. And I always like to say, did I mention it's the tropics? So there's a lot of things that come along with that, like the whole issue of the added costs of having the right insurance. But if you're going to live here all year round and you're not fortunate enough to be able to go to your other home during the summer months, you really do need to be prepared. A lot of people even have backup generators at their homes if you can have one, if you have the space to install it, which is really good, because I remember I lived in Palm Beach Shores, and that's a little town on the end of Singer Island. And we went through Hurricane Wilma probably 10 or 15 years ago. Fortunately, it was October. So when after the storm came through, it wasn't this horrible heat and humidity with no power that you experience if you have a hurricane in August or September. But I had to laugh with my neighbors because this was back then, very few people had done this. She had a whole house generator installed. And as soon as the hurricane had passed, and it's the end of the day and we're all in dusk and, having to light candles and flashlights, her house was all lit up, her air conditioner was running. So there's something to be said for that, than having to listen to generators running all around. So that whole hurricane issue is preparation. And I'm going to put a link on my channel to the North Palm Beach Hurricane Preparation Guide, which is really good. A lot of times I look at them and they are fluff. But in this case, it has a lot of good information to prepare you. So we usually just put about June, we think about, okay, do we have everything we need so that if there is a storm, we aren't running out and getting into big lines. And of course, the biggest preparation you can have is having a solid house with either a metal or a concrete tile roof, having impact windows, having a backup generator, all those sorts of things. And then not to mention the humidity and just the general rain every afternoon. I have a new buyer that I've been working with, and we've been looking in West Palm Beach. And one of the things she said was, what kind of hairspray can I use here? Because she's used to her normal grooming process, and instead you're wearing totally different clothes. You're wearing your hair up all the time because it is so hot out. And men, I know this doesn't apply to you, but we girls worry about these things. So anyway, it is really a tropical place. And I think a lot of times people come down in the winter months and they think about moving here. They're spending time at the beach. And I really recommend that you come and spend some time in the summertime so you can really see what it's like to live here all year round. Number 4 is rapid growth and overcrowding. And it's like a balancing act. There was an article in the Palm Beach Post at the end of last year, and the title of it was Keeping West Palm Beach's Sense of Place is Up to You. And that is because we had so much growth during COVID. And so much of that came from the Northeast and even out into California, just from all over. Even more money has moved into the town of Palm Beach and West Palm Beach, and it is changing the complexion of the area. And so our city fathers are really working hard to try to protect, allow for the growth, but still protect the sense of place that West Palm Beach is. And I think this is going on, throughout everywhere practically. But I think Palm Beach County is a lot different from where I grew up in Broward County, where it's Fort Lauderdale, Pompano, those cities that were developed in the 60s, and they just kind of leveled everything and, built. And the cities in Palm Beach County, especially from West Palm Beach north, have been really thoughtful about protecting and preserving and making the nature part of the overall city. I would say that like Jupiter is a standout in this, and Tequesta, Juno Beach, North Palm Beach, and Singer Island. So there's a lot of areas that are really protected. The nature is protected. So it's protected from the overgrowth and crowding that's going on. So there is a lot of growth here, which is adding to the traffic, which is adding to the construction and the renovations that are going on in all these little towns. I think that it's going to be balanced. And so we'll see how this works out. So number 5 is safety and crime. And a lot of people have left because of this. But I think it's because historically we've been such a kind of a small town, if you will, until maybe the last 10 or 15 years. And it's kind of a mixed bag. And usually, as a realtor, I can't steer people away from certain neighborhoods or communities, but I do recommend websites where you can get information on crime statistics in areas that you might be thinking about. I think it's like with anywhere. It comes down to the micro communities, knowing, where you're safe and where you aren't. West Palm has become a big city, so there are going to be areas of crime. But I think even though the statistics say that the crime is high here, I've lived here most of my adult life and I'm circulating everywhere, and I don't really find that to be the case. But so we have our share of it. Some people don't, have left because of it. But I don't think it's a major issue. And I think that most municipalities are quick to address when there are crime issues. But most of the smaller municipalities around West Palm Beach and in the northern Palm Beach County area, they all have their own police forces. Some of the smaller towns have started using the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office as their infrastructure for their local police. But most of these towns, like North Palm Beach, has its own police force. The town of Palm Beach, the town of Jupiter and Lake Colony, Jupiter, they all have their own police forces. So they're pretty diligent about keeping crime in check. And I think it's pretty effective. Okay, so my number 6, this is kind of an unexpected one to a lot of people. And that is our seasonal crowds and snowbird surge. So not to say that we don't love you. Our population practically doubles during the months of like November, December through April, usually right up until Passover, Easter, and then people go back to their other home. But I think it takes a lot of people by surprise because of traffic doubles. You can't even think about walking into a restaurant without a reservation, and everything just becomes a little bit more challenging. And I like a lot of people just have gotten tired of it. People that lived here, they're just like looking for a simpler life and they're out of here. Then there's those of us that just love living in Florida. And so it's just part of the natural flow. What we end up doing in my house is saving going to restaurants that we really like for the off season. So we wait until like after May, and then you can pretty much go anywhere you want without a reservation and enjoy all the wonderful things that everybody comes down for in the winter months. So that and the traffic, even now, like I can drive up to Jupiter from North Palm Beach and it takes me, 10 minutes. And if it were like December or January, it would probably be double that and double the frustration as well. So that's one of the unexpected things I think that people don't think about. And then another number 7 that goes right along with that, not only the surge of population, but also just our flow here changes, because most of our events that go on or things that are happening happen during that time when our visitors are here. So there's a real season, if you will, to our lifestyle. So like the green market, we have the top rated green market in the country, but it's only during the winter season. And we have the boat show and we have concerts, and there's all the seasonal things that go on with the charities in Palm Beach and all the great events that they have. And that's true for Boca and Jupiter. And then come May, it's all over. Nothing's happening until, say, November. And some people are happy for that because they're exhausted from all of the activities. But if you don't expect it and you are going to live here all year round, you kind of are at a loss for what to do. Because if you love to play golf in the winter, it's really so hot in the summer. Some people can't tolerate it. I mean, I go out and walk midday and then I think, what am I doing? I feel like I could pass out. So it's hard to go to the beach in the summer months sometimes because it's so hot, unless it's in the morning or later in the day. So anyway, just that, not only the seasonality of the extra people being here, but also the seasonality of the flow of life is completely different in the summertime than it is in the winter. And some people, and also on your business as well, if you have a retail business or a restaurant, I've seen people close up shop after just one time around the sun because it's too much to plan for. It's too much to have to get through in the summertime when there's so little business. So it really is kind of a difficult thing to get used to, but once you know it exists, then you just deal with it. So those are my 2, just the overcrowding that comes with the tourism and the snowbirds, and then just the change in the flow of lifestyle as well. So what do you think? Did I take you by surprise with any of these things? I'd love to hear your thoughts or comments in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you'll know every time we have a new video. And I just love getting calls. Feel free to call me if you want to chat. If you're thinking about moving here, it's my passion, helping people find the right place to live here in South Florida. And I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a text or give me a call, and I'd be happy to talk to you. So see you in the next episode.